Yo, yo. No Fun League podcast back after a little bit of a hiatus. Tough one to schedule these last 2 weeks, but here we are. Got Brennan Rouse on the horn. How are we?
Fantastic. No place I'd rather be.
Love to hear it. Dan, how are we?
Ready to talk some league name TBD.
Huzzah. We've had a few trades, none of them super recent, but all of them since the last episode. Uh, Longest ago was the Brennan Rouse and Nico Ellis trade, in which Brennan got Stephon Diggs, Jordan Mason, and Nico's 26th third for Joe Mixon and his own 27 second. How do we feel about it, Brennan?
How we feel about it now is very different than how we felt about it when the trade went down. I don't know what type of voodoo hex Nico has on these guys after he trades them away. I don't know if he does it where it's like he has a crystal ball before so he knows to trade them away, or if he puts a hex on them after so that once they leave, they get hurt. But it's just absurd that everyone he's dealing is getting
Two
hurt.
conflicting theories both make plenty of sense. I think from a value perspective and from a doing the deal perspective at the time, it did make plenty of sense. You needed that receiver. You had a shit ton of running backs, especially with Chase Brown now really earning that preseason hype that was put on him in your manager in the mirror. Obviously, things have not panned out. And now you got CMC back, which is a big plus over Jordan Mason anyway. Any thoughts, Dan?
Yeah, right. It's hard to grade a trade when the your buy busts his ACL that week. Gotta just call that one a wash for Brennan.
After that, we had Tom and Nico. Nico's been busy. Tom got Kate Otten, Garrett Wilson, and Jesse's 25 first, which should be a top two pick, I think it is right now. Or maybe he has the four. It's a high first. Otten, Garrett Wilson, and that pick. Nico got Roma Dunze, Jared Goff, his own 25 first back, and Tom's 25 second. Any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, you're right. Nico's been
I like
busy.
this deal.
Um, it's one of those trades that I think I like. It makes a lot of sense both ways. That one that Jesse's pick, it made a lot of sense for Nico to want to move it. Just a lot of value right now that he could capitalize, turn into production. Um, I was surprised to see him move off of Garrett Wilson, but I think it's worth it to get that QB upgrade that he kind of needed with golf.
I agree. I think both sides of the deal were make a lot of sense for both people. I like Tom's getting that early pick, and I also think that he's going to probably try and turn around and move some of those pieces for even more value. So I think it's a good deal on both ends.
Yeah, he bought Kate Otten at the right time, that's for sure. Um, I personally, as a Garrett Wilson owner in a league I don't care that much about, was a little weary to the start of the year. Obviously, things started shaping up, but then I think this happened in the wake of the Devontae news. So, seeing as how Garrett Wilson and Rodgers hadn't been absolutely as lethal as we had thought, and then that was happening, and then who knows who the quarterback is after Rodgers, I kind of was thinking of moving off him myself. Um, Roma Dunze, still to be seen, but I've liked his flashes. And Nico needed that quarterback with how Stroud and Caleb have been kind of stinking most weeks. So I liked it for both. And yeah, I like owning your own first too. In a running back class, Nico can probably get a running back that's ready to go on this roster, and Tom can get whatever core piece he needs to add to this building team. Last trade was Nico again, who got Jamison Williams, Luke's 27 first and his 20 Luke's 25 second. Luke got Chris Olave, his own 26 third, and Pat's 25 third.
I mean, yeah, if you cut the fat, you cut out the seconds or the thirds. It's really what a first, a second, and JMO for Chris Olave. High price from Luke, who's trying to keep his hat in contention. The hot start's cooled a bit, but he's certainly right in the thick of it. And I mean, if you're Luke, the question marks of the Lave have really been raising a lot. Or I'm sorry, if you're Nico, the question marks of the Lave have really been starting to pop up, kind of like Wilson, but worse. So I think that's a good return if you're scared and want to move off of them.
I think it is another deal similar to the deal that I experienced, or in the moment looks really good, feel good about it in the moment, and now with recent events unfolding, it's a tough situation to be in.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a couple like defensive guys, no big names I can really think of walk away from this concussion stuff, but it is starting to happen. Olave would certainly be the first big fantasy asset to do it. Um, but it certainly is not the best situation. I was in on this Olave sweepstakes, but I saw that this was the price tag to match, and I was out of the Olave sweepstakes. Nico, definitely, I don't know if anyone else has been talking with him, but he's big on these 27 picks. He really is preparing for Ryan Williams and the rest of them that are tail end towards stage. So I'm sure he's real happy about that pick. Luke's got an old team, so maybe that'll be a high one if he can't quickly turn over this roster when it starts fading. But yeah, now to our segment of the day. Those of you who listen to the Dynasty Nerds like I do, Brennan's in the dark. Those of you who listen to the Dynasty Nerds like I do, you may be familiar with this one, but we're tweaking it a little bit. It's called the Likeliness or the Isaiah Likeliness. Basically, I'm just going to give a statement, and all of us are going to talk or 0 through 10 what we think, like how likely it is to happen. Our first one is one of me or Rob missing the playoffs. Go ahead.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I wasn't cutting anybody off. I'm sorry. But when you look at it, Ryan, you're 7-2 right now. You're in kind of a great spot. I'm feeling happy at 7-2 myself. Rob 5-4. And then we got both of you guys in the playoff picture right now, and then Witt and Brennan outside looking in, who are both very legitimate playoff contenders. So I'm gonna give it a 6. If I could give it a 5.5, I would. I
You
think
are allowed to.
I'm gonna give it a 5.5. I think this playoff race is gonna be decided by a whole bunch of coin tosses. I really think it's anyone's game.
Brennan.
I agree entirely. It's kind of funny though. I would rank it a little bit higher. I would say like probably 6, 7 range. For the exact same reasons that Dan said. I just think that it's so much is up in the air and it's going to really come down to so many coin flips and having two teams that could potentially go either way. I mean, I feel like it's pretty likely it's equally likely that it won't happen, but it could very easily happen.
True. So I did a little bit of research. Um, I just first of all want to say that I kind of view how it is right now as Dan's definitely making the playoffs. Me and Nico are almost definitely making the playoffs. And then that fourth spot, I think, is pretty even between Brennan, Rob, and Luke. I personally think I'm going to give Brennan the slight edge from the group. And for that reason, I guess Rob missing the playoffs is like a um 6 out of 10, something like that. If no, yes, no, 7, I don't know, whatever. um, yeah, it's a little north of 5, and then I think me missing the playoffs has like a 10% chance at this point. Knock on wood. So it's like a 6.5 for me. What it comes down to is I think me, Dan, and Nico all win this week. Again, knock on wood. In that case, Rob, if he loses this week, which it's shaping up like he really could, Um, he'll be 3 games back on me and Dan, and 2 games back on Nico, one on Luke, and tied with Brennan. And like I said, I think Brennan's the strongest team there, and with how banged up Shelly is, I don't think it really happens. So 6.5 out of 10 for me. Next we have Brennan making the playoffs.
I will go first on this one. I to put it in Eagles terms, which is how I tend to put everything in football terms, I really feel like my team is like the Eagles from last year, where I kept feeling last year it was like this team has not been performing well, but just wait for them to figure it out. The talent's there, wait for them to figure it out. And I'm just starting to get nervous that it's going to be a little bit too late for this team to kind of come together the way that it should. So, I mean, I think that I have a really strong team. In theory, everything is there for it to work out, but it just seems to not be materializing the way that you would like it to. So, for those reasons, I'm kind of at like a 5-6 range.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's sort of an extension of the last question. You're looking at this same kind of mess of teams in the hunt. And so I think, yeah, I'll keep living at that 5.5 where, I mean, Brennan's 4-5 right now. He's the lowest of the 6 teams that are hunting for playoff spots. But I agree, that of that bottom half, I think he's the strongest team. CMC, I think we probably all think is going to come back and be an absolute monster again. That's what he always does. Um, so yeah, it's really just going to come down to, does luck fall on your side? Do you get those big CMC weeks to turn a couple losses into wins and squeak into that 4 spot?
Yeah, so like I already said, I pretty much view 3 spots as locked up. But there's a slight chance that I guess me or Nico misses. Um, and I have Brennan on with the edge there. So I put it at like a 5 out of 10 personally because um, though I think he is the best of the three, his receiver room is not looking super unimpeachable. AJ's been kind of a big play merchant, and it just takes 1 week of that not coming together. Tyreek is not having the season many had hoped for. But I still like if I guess I'm thinking about this last spot as basically 100% chance, and I give Brennan a 50% chance of snagging it. So yeah, 5 out of 10 for me. Next, what are the odds that Nico takes the hardware home? Wins it
Now,
all.
I wasn't sure exactly how to grade this because I mean, if you're doing a number 1 to 10, it's hard. Even my numbers could be lower than 5, probably lower than 4, even if you're just talking about like 40% chance of winning a ring. But if you look at his odds of being an actual contender, like the realistic outlook that he is in the thick, that he's playing for a championship, and we all know he can win any game he's in. Um, I'm giving it like a 7-8. I think he's not a pretender at 6-3. He has the lowest points for of any of those top 6 teams. I don't think that's reflective of the true ceiling that this team has and its true contending merit.
I think so he's pretty much a lock to be in the playoffs. So once he's in, it's really as we've seen the past couple of years, that's kind of just the way that the dice roll and it's anybody's game. So um I'd put it at like a 3 or 4, which sounds low, but really when you think about it, 4 teams getting in. If everyone's got an equal shot at it, and it's like 25% right there. So like a 3 or like the 3 range. So I think he's got a good shot at it because he's going to be in the playoffs and he's got a great team. So that's what I got there.
That's also how I looked at it. I think there's like a 30% chance, 3 out of 10, he takes this one. Truthfully, I think Dan's the best team, especially since I lost Chris Godwin. Um, and that Olave sweepstakes was kind of the last big receiver, I think, out there. So I don't know that I'll be repairing that. I think my team's pretty great. But missing that 21 points a week or whatever Godwin was putting up certainly is difficult. So I think Dan's the peak. I think I am definitely in the mix, as is whichever team of the three fills that fourth spot, which is again how I'm looking at it. Obviously, not the absolute truth. And then Nico's team, Bijan and Brees have been good most of the year, not all of the year. Malik Neighbors hasn't topped 15 since his concussion. Obviously, that probably will change, but it's not the most consistent output. Devontae is not that consistent. Marvin Harrison's not that consistent. And he strapped together the Goff and Stafford quarterback room, which is not bad, but neither of the two he was starting to start the season. So they're not exactly blue chip. So yeah, 3 out of 10. Like Brennan said, you make it in the show, anything can happen, but I don't think it's incredibly likely. Um, the odds that Zach trades a starting player before the trade deadline.
How about the odds that Zach responds to a trade offer before the
Amen to that.
responds to a league text message? And I think we're still feeling low numbers. Um, all seriousness, he did make the Devontae move that people were kind of hounding on, and I think he got a great trade out of it. I mean, Puka and a couple picks back for it was Devontae and a first. Um, I think that was a great move for him. But if you look at the rest of the team, it's not Devontae Adams. It's James Cooks, Puka Nakua's, Tank Dells. I mean, DK's up there. Jalen Waddle's not the youngest, but I don't think there's anybody on his team in his starting lineup that screams like his window's closing. So without the driving impetus making him kind of feel like he has to make a move, my guess would be Zach has a quiet rest of the season. So I'll call it a 2.
I didn't understand this one because he's having a great year. Um, um, in all seriousness, you would hope, kind of with the way things are going, that something changes a little bit. I disagree with Dan a little bit. That it's like if things are. I think things something needs to change a little bit. So you would hope, but I would say if I had to put it in the likeliness meter, I'd say like a 3 again.
I'm also rocking a 3. Um, yeah, same reasons. I think there's a little bit he could do more than Dan, but I don't know. I've been trying a little bit myself, and we're going on like 5 weeks without a text. So um, sometimes it's therapeutic to just yell into the void. Uh, okay, second to last one. We got this was from almost 2 weeks ago now, but Brennan or Luke give up on playoffs before the trade deadline. I had it at a 3 out of 10. Um, but I'm gonna put it at like a 1 out of 10 now. I think they're gonna see this thing through at least through the trade deadline, and at that point, you can't do anything except hope you make the playoffs. So
I mean, trade deadline's last week of the regular season, right?
you are the commissioner. I don't
I
know.
believe it's the last week of the regular
I
season.
thought it was like week 12.
I think it's 14. Um, and I guess we have a week 16, 17 playoffs, so 2 weeks left, but it's right down to the wire, our trade deadline. And with really 3 teams, maybe 4 teams vying for 2 spots, we'll call it that instead of 3 teams vying for one. Um, I think it's very possible that one of these teams gets the answer they don't want to hear sometime within the next month and makes that kind of late pivot to get something out of this season with their playoff dreams crash. So I'll call it a 6.
I would also put it up in like the 6, 7 range. I mean, speaking for myself, like if things kind of keep going the way that they've been going this year, like I think my team is really talented. I like it a lot, but I'm also not gonna pretend like my team isn't all like 40-year-olds. So if things don't kind of keep moving the way that I want them to, I think that that's kind of like as much as you don't want to, you want to make a push after losing so close in the back-to-back years. If things don't keep going, I feel like you'd be a fool to just keep riding it out and hoping, and then letting everybody age out and not be worth anything.
Yeah, I guess if the trade deadline is later than I thought, I will put it at like, I mean, I think here's the thing. I don't, because of injuries, love where Rob's at. And I think there's a good chance that if it is narrowing down to like a 5 horse race, that Rob is the odd man out. Sorry. But yeah, I think he might do that kind of thing. Sounds like Brendan would. I don't know that Luke would. We kind of were all telling him to do it at the start of the season, and rightfully he decided not to. And he's in the conversation. So I think he might just keep doing that. He just traded picks as well for Olave. So I think he would see it out. But I guess if Brennan struggles these next couple weeks and would do it, I'll put it at like a 4.5, 5. Our last one, Tom ends up with the top two picks. Now, the picks he has are his own, and this was also before this Nico trade. No, that was after because he got Jesse's in that one. So he has his and Jesse's. Looking at max points for, it is currently, that is the
Second pick
two,
and third pick.
2 and 3 pick. Jesse's pick is about 35 points back of Patty Miller, and Tom's is about 30 points back, a little bit less of Jesse's. What are the odds?
I'm gonna call it a 2. I mean, at this point, Pat is 60 points ahead of below the third pick, and he would need to fall behind both Jesse and Tom. I was a believer in Pat's team a little bit this year, maybe not as like a contender playoff hunt kind of team, but as a team that was going to start shaping up, and it just does not look that way. There's not much to make me think things are imminently turning around there. So I'm going low. I think Pat's going to have one of those two picks.
I agree. I agree entirely. It's a big week for Tom last week. Um, yeah, I don't see things moving all that much, so I would give it like a 2.
I also gave it a 2. Very similar reasons. Um, Congrats to Pat, I suppose. But all right. Now we have a little surprise. I want my guests to put their phones away. I don't want any cheating. We have a little game. All right. This is the 5 championship matchups of our league. Whoever scores the most wins. You have to call out your spot when you're guessing it. So, like, I'm guessing the 41.5 point receiver in 2020. I think it's Terrace Marshall. Um, Dan, I'm thinking of a number 1 or 2. What is it?
2.
Brennan, you may kick or receive, but there is no sudden death. So if you want to start,
Um,
start.
yeah, Rob's 56. That was Kamara, wasn't it?
That was Alvin Kamara. Point Brennan. Dan, the board is yours.
It may not be wise to be taking my guys in these spots. I might be smarter to wait on them, but I'm going to take the points that I know are on the board. I believe that 32-point running back in 2022 for myself was Eckler.
In 2022, the 32-point running back is Austin Eckler. Tie ball game. Brennan.
MJ and M.
That is Mr. Jones and me versus Fresh Prince of Hilaire, a matchup I forgot that happened.
Yeah, who I'm trying to think of who a tight end that would have scored 26 in 2021. I mean, I would guess that late in the season, 2021, that would be like Travis Kelsey, but I don't remember. That's what I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Travis Kelsey in
It
2016.
is not Travis Kelsey. Damn.
Interesting. Now, I have a question on these Shelley Swift receivers in 2020. We got a 41 and a half and a 40.1.
Gotta get him right.
That seems dumb.
Well, that's the game.
Okay.
I spent a whole 15 minutes making it, so you can. Oh, wait, I forgot. I was gonna ring this for right answers.
All right. Well,
Sponsored by Clase Azul.
then I'll take the 26.3 point Raiders running back, and I'm going to hope that that's Christian McCaffrey.
That is not Christian McCaffrey. Brennan, the board's yours.
I think that I'm going to struggle with this game mightily because I'm having trouble already, and we only have two people off the winners.
As the person who was in three of the five.
I know. I couldn't even tell you. I'm looking at a 30.1 at myself last year, and I can't even tell you who that would have been. Um, who was Jesse's quarterback last year? Um, 21-point wide receiver for the Funky Bunch in 2022 was CD.
Bang. Is that like insufferable over the airwaves, or should I keep doing it?
Didn't even hear
Oh, okay.
it.
Point Brennan. I'm gonna stop then because it's hard to type with this in my lap.
All right. I don't. Was Derrick Henry playing in the fantasy playoffs last year? I'm going to say that Derrick Henry was that 30-point running back game from Rouse.
Oh,
How about Kyron with a 30-point one?
bang.
Kyron. I should have thought of Kyron.
Lead building for Rouse.
Is Rouse is SSB, right?
Sad sack bunch.
A sad sack bunch. All right. Well, I'm going to say that their quarterback was. Oh, okay. It's the coin toss. Fuck. If I don't get it, then Brennan's got it. I just don't feel good enough about any of the other ones. I should know that Mr. Jones and me tight end. That's Connie. And then I have the Rob wide receiver coin toss I could also go for. I'll say that Mahomes was Brennan's quarterback.
Boom.
All right.
I would have got it wrong. So if it makes you feel, if you were gonna go somewhere else on that, I was gonna take Hurts there. So
You were probably right to not bet against 2022 Jalen Hurts, but you would
yeah.
have been wrong.
Um, how about 2022 running back, the last one standing, was that King Henry?
That was not. And I will say, I bet this is the hardest one on the board.
All right. Well, that clue just spared me guessing Joe Mixon in that spot. So thank you. Instead, was the Raiders quarterback last year Brock Purdy?
It was not.
Why don't I remember his quarterback was last year? It's so hard too, because like now I have everybody's quarterbacks kind of in mind now after we shuffled them all up. So it's kind of hard to think back to last year with quarterbacks. 26.5 point. I think that tight end is just like screaming at me right now. That I feel like that should be so apparent, but I can't think of who that would be.
Do you guys know who Mr. Jones and me is?
Marvin Jones?
I met the owner of the team, but that
Oh,
all
well,
it's
no.
not. That is Aaron Jones.
Mm, that makes sense.
Should I reveal whose team it is or
Oh, who the team?
yeah.
It's Witt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was Witt. I didn't realize you meant who the human owner was. I thought you were talking about like some NFL owner.
Nope.
I gotcha.
Was my
It's
running back? I know you said it was the hardest one, but I'm gonna give it a shot anyway again because it's gonna bother me if I don't get it. Is that Aaron Jones?
Nope.
was Jesse's running back James Conner in 2023.
It was James Conner tie ball game. No one has gone for the best championship in league history yet.
It's a long time ago. Lots changed.
Was the 27.1 wide receiver in 2020 AJ Brown?
In 2020, it was not AJ Brown.
Was Feeds quarterback in 2019 Lamar?
It was. Gave it his all that championship, but he came up short. Oh. Dan completes the 3-1 comeback for the lead. We have 7 minutes and 25 seconds, by the way. So if it comes down to time, whoever's leading at the end.
Fair enough.
I also
I'll
might
go with
if there's like two left that we can't get.
Derrick Henry 2020 running back.
The 28.9
Yeah.
is incorrect.
2020, 28.9, Joe Mixon.
Incorrect.
I am very bummed at how bad I'm doing at this game, especially because my team was in so much of it.
Tough, man. I was surprised by a good five or six of these. Never would have guessed them in a million years. I think there are still some
Hold
people.
on. This is all right. I have two guesses for I'm gonna go with 2020 first. The 2020 28.9 running back. Is that Kenyon Drake?
It is not.
That's a good guess. Was I'm gonna take my dart throw. Oh, I don't want to give it to Brennan. I can't risk it in the 1 point game. I'm not guessing those Shelly Swift receivers yet. The QB for Mr. Jones and me in 2021. I'm gonna say that the 21-point wide receiver there was Cup.
Correct.
Okay.
Was the 22.6 points in 2022 running back Kenyon Drake?
Nope.
I saw a good reaction. I was kind of you said that was gonna be the hardest one. I saw a good reaction. I was like, well, maybe my timing is off on this entirely. Maybe I'm going too far back.
Nope.
Worth a shot.
See if I can maybe ice it with this one. Mike Evans scored 41.5 points in 2020 for Shelly Swift.
Nope.
But he scored 40.1,
He
didn't he?
did score 40.1. The gamble bites Marks. Put his hands down and got popped.
Not
Do you know who the other one is?
probably should. Is it Marvin Jones?
Is
Noted
that
Shelly Swift legend.
is that Stephon Diggs?
That is Stefan Diggs. Oh, we have a tie ball game. Chris Thompson.
I don't remember which Rouse running backs I've guessed for which Rouse running back spots. Was Swish to Fish's 21.6 point wide receiver in 2019 Stefan Diggs?
No, he was a midseason sell. Why did I do that?
He had a slow start, and Chris Thompson was catching a lot of
That
passes
was that
to
was
start
the
that
time.
He had
That
more
was it.
targets and receptions than Stephon Diggs.
Was my 2020 27.1 wide receiver Neenan by any chance?
2020, 27.1 was not. Um, 2019, two of my people were on the same team.
Was your tight end Evan? No, 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 no. Evan Ingram wasn't on the Jags yet.
Oh, it was a Monroe.
It's not Chris Conley. That was the week before that Chris Conley fucked me. Man, I don't know. Is the Rouse 28.9 running back? We've got Mixon and Henry already. I'm stumping here hard. Was Witt's quarterback in 2021 Stafford?
Nope. Okay. So I gave the 2019 hint. My 2020 hint is one, the running back is a fantasy legend that I'm surprised did this in 2020 still. And the other one, the receiver is a journeyman, and I could not tell you what team he was on for it.
And it's Brennan's guess.
Brennan's guess.
Bring back the legend. That
I think that we had more fun at Angry Orchard than your parents in this. I don't know. Maybe your parents thought it was up, but they didn't want it.
I have no, I can't.
Can I steal? I don't know who it is, but I have a guess.
No.
I'm gonna guess here. I'll go somewhere else so that Dan can guess that out. It was um Jesse's quarterback last year, Kirk Cousins. I don't know why that
No,
feels like that's something in my head, but I don't know if
he
that's
is not.
Was Jesse's quarterback last year Matt Stafford?
No.
Next point wins. We got a minute. Brennan, rapid fire.
I thought you were going for the running back.
2023 quarterback was and is an NFC quarterback, same team,
Same team.
like as last year, not in fantasy, but in real life.
Um, Kyler Murray.
No.
Daniel
Next step
Jones.
win. No.
We already said Brock Purdy. Geno Smith.
Oh,
Dak.
yes. Dan
Shit.
wins.
Oh, on
All
Dak.
right. Rattling off 2019, we have Aaron Jones. Dan, how do you forget that? Robo-knee, Mike Gesicki is the tight end, and Devontae Adams. At the bottom of 2020, David Johnson and Brandon Cooks. Then we have Mark Andrews at the top, Justin Herbert and Alexander Madison somehow. 22.6 was